Hello, friends. We are discussing about crop production and management. We had already discussed about what is a crop, what are various agricultural practices, what are various agricultural implements that we have. Okay, what are the different types of crops we have based on the season, Kharif and Rabi crop. Okay, so now coming into various agricultural practices, the practices are preparation of soil that we have already discussed, sowing that we will be discussing now, adding manures and fertilizers we will be doing it now only, irrigation, protection from weeds, harvesting and storage. So now we already talked about preparation of soil in the last class. You can refer to my previous video. Okay, so here we have talked about why is it necessary to prepare the soil, why should we loosen the soil. Okay, why are microbes called as the friends of farmers? What are the different agriculture implements that we have used, like plow, hoe, and all those things? And now we will be discussing about sowing. So, sowing of seeds is very, very important as per as the crop production is required, because no seeds there is no crop. Even if you have a very fertile soil, if there is no seed, there is no crop. Okay, so now when you sow a seed, it is very important for it to be healthy. Now the question arises, how will I get a healthy seed? How will I know? I cannot take it to doctor and say whether it is healthy or not, right? So what can be done is you soak the seeds in water. When you soak the seeds in water for some time, you will find the healthy seeds will settle down, whereas the damaged seeds will be floating up. Okay? Because the damaged seeds are light in weight, because they're hollow again. So, what happens? Whatever seeds are floating, it is being removed by the farmers, and then what happens is they will be going ahead and sowing the healthy seeds, disease free seeds. Okay, so there is various forms in which the seeds are sown in the ground. First and foremost, the broadcasting method. Broadcasting is just scattering the seeds thoroughly. Okay, randomly they will scatter the seeds in the field and let the crops grow. So in this case, there is a lot of competition that is there. Fine. Somewhere you will have very scarcely populated seeds. Maybe some point places you will hardly have any seeds that has fallen. But in few places there will be a dense seeds which will again be fighting against each other. So there is another method that has been come up. There's a tool traditionally for sowing seeds is called a seed drill. It's similar to a seed drill, sowing of the seeds. There's a funnel shaped material in which there is the seeds that is kept, and then it has got a very sharp end. So the funnel is going to pierce into the field and it will put the seeds somewhere at the bottom. Again, when we are broadcasting, one more problem that might occur is maybe the birds will come and take some seeds and go off. There is no point. So this is another traditional method that is being followed. Now, when the cows or when the ox or buffaloes are being replaced by tractors, we call it as a seed drill. So they have a chamber wherein the seeds are kept, which is again attached through a pipe to a funnel, and then the seeds drops into the funnel, and the funnel will drop in the seeds one by one into the ground. So now in this case, what happens is the seeds are dropped at a right depth and a right distance. So seeds are kept at very specific distance even. Fine. So we have a seed drill, and I told you about broadcasting, and again the funnel shaped traditional method. The next thing, once the seed is being sown, we will come into how we can enrich the nutrient value of the soil by adding manures and fertilizers. Manures are basically, manures when I talk about, they are from the animals and plants. The waste of animals and plants will go ahead and give us manure, whereas fertilizers are factory made or fertilizers are man made. They go ahead with specific nutrients, like the most common fertilizers you have NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So these is a very common fertilizers. But fertilizers when being used, has one has to be very careful about it, because it can cause water pollution. So whenever fertilizers are being used, one has to be very careful. So we will talk about the difference between fertilizers and manures. So if you see, fertilizers are man-made, I said, told you, and manures is a natural substance obtained by decomposing of cattle dung and plants residues. Fertilizers are prepared in factories, whereas manures are prepared in the fields. Fertilizers does not provide any humus to the soil, because humus is very important. Manure provides a lot of humus to the soil. Humus is nothing but the upper topper layer. Okay. Fertilizers are very rich in plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Manure is relatively less rich, because it is just a combination. You don't know, it's just a chance and probability that has to come across. But fertilizers, if my soil is very much requiring nitrogen, I can go ahead and use an urea. If my soil is requiring potassium, I can use potash. If my soil requires phosphorus, I can use superphosphate. Okay, so accordingly I can go ahead. What is the advantage of fertilizers is you can select, whereas the advantage of manure is it enhances the water holding capacity. It makes the soil porous, due to which exchange of gases becomes easy. It increases the number of friendly microbes, and it improves the texture of the soil. Okay, fine. So this is the manures and fertilizers. We also have different methods like crop rotation. So what is crop rotation? You grow one crop during one season in the field, and next season you grow another crop. Okay. So say this season you are growing pea, a leguminous plant, pea plant. Next season you are growing a nitrogen requiring plant, wheat plant. So what happens in the leguminous plant? In the roots of leguminous plants, there are root nodules. That if you see the roots, you will find some red joints which are known as root nodules. In this root nodules, there is a bacteria called as rhizobium bacteria. So these rhizobium bacteria will break down the nitrogen into a usable form of nitrogen to the plants. Okay, the atmospheric nitrogen, they will be again breaking them and putting it into the feasible form of nitrogen that will be taken up by the plants. So thus you will have a good nitrogen rich soil. Okay, so in the present so rhizobium is present in the nodules of the leguminous plant. They fix atmospheric nitrogen. Okay, next we are coming to irrigation. A very vital area that we have is irrigation. Irrigation is nothing but watering the plants. Supplying of water to the plants is irrigation. Water is very much required by the plant. What are the sources of irrigation? The sources of irrigation, or the sources of water for irrigation, are wells, tube wells, ponds, lakes, rivers, dams, canals, any water source that we are talking about. Okay. Now the traditional method, how where we initially irrigating the fields, the water was available in the wells, so they used to carry the water from the well and irrigate the field. So there used to be a pulley system used to be there. They used to pull water via pulley, and then after that they would water the field. Okay. Then came ahead chain pump. So there were chain pumps, if you see. So this, are you able to see? This was a moat or the pulley system where they used to fill this pitcher and then flow it into the field. Then we have the chain pump. This chain pump, there is a bucket and that is allowed to rotate, that will fill in, the bucket will go down, fill in water, and then again throw it into the channel, and that will go ahead and throw the water into the field. Okay. Now, then we came across in Dhekli. What is Dhekli? Dhekli is a system. So there used to be, instead of a man going ahead and pulling water out, so there used to be a weight that is being attached that will move the bucket up and down, okay, and fill water. So that is a Dhekli that we use. And later on we had a lever system that is called as Rahat system. The Rahat system, wherein small tumblers were attached to a wheel and was allowed to rotate. These used to water the field. So we talked about various ways that we could irrigate the field was moat or the pulley system, chain pump, Dhekli, and Rahat system. Then after that, what happened is pumps are commonly used for lifting water. Diesel, biogas, electricity, solar energy is used to run these pumps. Okay, so what happens is we went ahead into the modern techniques. In the modern techniques, we had the sprinkler system. What is the sprinkler system? So in this system, this is a more useful system. There are some perpendicular nozzles that are being attached. So you will have the perpendicular nozzles that are being attached. So water is allowed to flow through, and once the water is allowed to flow through these pipes, and here there are perpendicular nozzles, and from here the sprinklers will come out. So this is what is a sprinkler. Okay, fine. Next, we will come across in the drip irrigation. Drip irrigation is what? Herein, herein you have the well. From the well, using a pump, they are taking out the water, and here at the base of the pipes, they will drip the water. They will slowly drip across the water. Okay, in these areas there are small holes, and they will put the water onto the roads in drop by drop format. Okay, next we are coming to the weeding, that is removing of weeds from the plants. So unwanted plants, whatever is there, those are known as weeds. So these has to be removed. Okay, so now weeds can be controlled by using some chemicals called as weedicides, like 2,4-D we have. So they are being sprayed and the weeds are being killed. Even the weeds can be removed manually, by this trowel. You can just remove the weeds. Fine. There is biological control of weeds even. Fine. Next. The next part is the crops are grown. We have to come into the harvesting. So next we will have to harvest the crop. So there are harvesting seasons. You will find people coming out with sickle and then harvesting the crops. Okay, cutting the crops. Okay, and once the crops are being cut, they are being threshed. So what is threshing? Threshing is nothing but the grains are needed to be separated from the chaff. So this process is known as threshing. They will go ahead and they will beat the harvested grain. so a harvested plant. Okay, so these will separate off the grains from the chaff. Okay, so this is being carried out. So there is harvesting and threshing, and both can be done together by a machine called as combine. So the combine will harvest the crop as well as they will thresh the crop so that the grain gets removed and collected. Okay, then after that these grains have to be removed. Okay, the all the chaff has to be removed off. Okay, the separation has already taken place from the grain and chaff. The separation has taken place, but the chaff has to be removed. Fine. So here is a very traditional technique that we had used is winnowing. We have seen in most of the movies, or our grandparents, you know, getting into getting the rice uh, some kind of plate and then shifting it across so that you know the grains get separated uh, from the uh, chaff. Okay, so that is winnowing is being done. It is done by wind energy. Next coming, once the grain is being separated, we will go ahead in storing this grains. Storing these grains is mainly done in silos or in granaries. Okay, so there are silos. You have a number of silos. Is there a very tunnel shaped big uh, area wherein you can put down your materials to be stored. Then you have storage of grains in gunny bags. Okay, in the gunny bags they are being stored, so that in the granaries they are being stored. Fine, so that it can be used for a later point of time. It is also stored in cold storage. One thing has to be taken care before storing of any grains. The storage area should be fumigated. It should Pesticides has to be sprayed so that there are no pests like rats should not eat up the grains or something like that. Fumigation has to be done. There should be no microbes. The humidity of that area has to be maintained. The temperature and humidity are two major factors that has to be maintained. Okay, fine.